No country in this world has ever grown in prosperity by excluding the people who help build it. Hello, everyone. This is Seeds and Structure with Austin. I would like to say, Kom Lato San Redinier. I've just spoken Africans by the South African people. It simply means, come, let us reason together. So, on today's episode, I'll just be extracting an important issue with African businesses, particularly those owned by foreigners currently domiciled in South Africa. I mean, it's no longer new, as we all know, that certain South Africans, or a large majority of South Africans, have started protesting in a recent spate of violence known as xenophobia, right? They've started chanting and, fighting immigrants in their country, asking for immigrants to leave their country as they want to fix their country. Initially, this started by them saying they want all non-South Africans to leave their country. And when this narrative was not, making headways, the next thing was, oh, they would like to fix their country, and they feel illegal immigrants are causing a lot of problems, committing heinous crimes, in their country, and as a result, they want all of them to leave. After a while, the narrative has constantly changed or shifted. I remember Vusi. Vusi happens to be a very exposed South African that runs a podcast that talks about ideas that matters. In short, I follow Vusi. I listen to Vusi on my on the podcast, right? And it was recently at a platform in Nigeria. The platform happens to be a program organized by Covenant Christian Center under the leadership of Pastor Poju Oyemade. Big ups, Pastor Poju, because you've been doing a phenomenal work in bringing information that cuts across every fabrics of the Nigerian society. And most recently, Vusi was on this show in 2026, where he shifted the narrative by saying that a lot of South Africa has about 65 million people, right? And not all the 65 million South Africans are actually in support, of these barbaric acts going on in the country, right? In as much as I appreciate him for voicing out, but once it still comes to bear, where are the learned people? Where are the elites in South Africa? Where are the faith-based organizations in South Africa? Where are civil liberty societies, right? Where are human rights groups in South Africa? I believe Amnesty International should have a chapter in South Africa, right? Why are they not speaking out? Where are the artists, right? Where are the academicians? Where are they? Why are they not speaking out? And this is one challenge I have with certain people, right? Once you don't speak out for an anomaly in the society, right, indirectly in support of this anomaly, and equally means that you are complicit. You are an active participator, of this, barbaric act. That's just, the summary of this, because you can't tell me you have over 65 million persons, right, in South Africa, and all of you are not in support of what is currently going on. Yet you sit on the fence, right? You are not with the protesters. You are equally not among those that are speaking out or calling out or even sensitizing your people from carrying out such attacks, because there's nothing in this world that justifies attacking people that are going about their legitimate business, right? Defenseless people, harmless people, people that have equally contributed their own part in the development of your country. Nothing, nothing in this world justifies, this barbaric act, because you can't tell me by merely looking at people, you already know their country, you already know what their capabilities, right? You already know whether they have a valid permit or a visa, or you don't even care. You would simply have total disrespect and disregard for institutions in your country. So there's this video I'm going to show by the right. Okay, let me just put it up, where you have one of the guys leading, this, saying that, telling a foreigner not to even listen to the government, that they are South Africans, want them out of the country. Just listen for yourselves.
Where are you from? Where? Huh? BRC. So what are you doing here? Because we've been calling for you guys to leave the country. Why are you still here?
I was going to school for children.
No, my friend. No. Please respect what we are saying and don't try and oppose what we are doing. Don't listen to the government. Don't listen to the police. Don't listen to anyone. Just listen to us. We are saying this peacefully. Please go to your country. 30 June is the deadline, but it's not like you must leave on the 30th of June.
Yes.
Don't leave on the 30th of June. Leave now, because the 30th of June, I can't control people of South Africa. All right, let's do the right thing. Respect our country, respect us. Oh, wait.
You sit down here.
Yeah. What were you doing here?
No, I have a business here, so I was going to school here. Gonna have a trip, so I was going to pay something for.
So who's this?
This is a boy, I know he's staying with me.
Yeah, so why is he running away?
I don't know.
Why are you running away?
I'm scared.
Why?
I'm scared.
Do you know we started do you know we started this thing in January, and we've been asking you guys to leave the country because we want to sort out our things in town. Why are you still staying in town? Well, because we've been begging for 6 months. We've been begging you guys to leave South Africa. Why are you still here? And then when you see us, you are running. So you are running. Where are you coming from? Uganda. So as you were running to Uganda. Where were you running to? Don't do this. No problem. You understand? The fight is not about you.
Yeah.
The fight is about correcting the systems and fixing our country. So we don't want to have a problem with you. Just please go.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And what are you doing here in town?
Just cooking food.
Phones.
Cooking food.
No, you can't leave your country to come and cook food here. It's not right. Constitutionally, you can't do that. Constitution doesn't allow that. Only South Africans must cook food. Please go home. Now Baba still in Hambe, and I'm coming back on Tuesday again. I don't want to see any foreign. Please.
Yes, I'm sure you've listened to that already. However, this is not the angle we are going to, right, on this podcast. What we are looking at basically is how this would impact businesses, especially businesses owned by South Africans, as well as businesses owned by foreign nationals, and why South Africans that are exposed, that are educated, should stand against this, because you are setting your country back. You are setting your country back by 1,000 miles if you allow this, to fester. So I'm going to go in this dimension to show business people what to do, in times like this. But before then, let me just run through different, indicators that are pointing to the South African people, telling them something is wrong if you don't check this. Number one, let's look at balance of trade and balance of payment. So if a South African, or if South Africans are saying we don't want immigrants in our country, they should equally understand that there's this dynamics between balance of trade and balance of payments. Whether it's a surplus or a deficit, regardless of what position you stand in, I mean, these are indicators you should, carefully watch. I mean, it's equally funny to me, because I just keep thinking, why, you understand, globalization is that word that has brought, the whole economy, together. Meaning somebody trading or staying in a particular part of the world can have access to information and trade to resources, of another person in another part of the world, right? And this has equally given rise, to international trade, mobility, free mobility of labor, of capital, and other resources between continents, between countries, right? Seamless mobility, and this has equally, contributed to giving South Africa a good position globally, not just in Africa. So if you are saying you don't want foreigners to stay in your country, you are equally asking, to run into problems when it comes to your balance of trade, as well as balance of payments. Second indicator, FDI, foreign direct investment. Over the past, decade, South Africa has an average of about 7.6 billion US dollars come into their country, right? This shows that South Africa is an open economy, right? A capitalist economy, right? Foreigners are bringing in capital, are bringing in the desired capital, right? As long as, even to help the infrastructural reels of the country, right? Your FDI figures, as projected by OECD stats, has shown that the influx of capital coming to your country has been a key factor that has allowed you guys grow as fast as one of Africa's fastest growing economy, right? So if you are asking African businesses not to trade with you guys, you're asking foreigners not to come, to your country. Basically, you're saying you don't want businesses, you don't want African businesses, to trade in your country. You don't want people that are able, to attract, such capital and investment in South Africa, to remain in South Africa, to trade legally in the country. You're equally asking for foreigners to reduce their FDIs in South Africa, right? The third point would speak about FDIs outside South Africa. In as much as South Africa has received capital coming from other countries, South Africa has even done a great job in investing in other countries. So, foreign direct investment backed up by activities of multinationals, right? Meaning there are companies, there are organizations, there are corporate organizations, right, that originate, right, that are established by South Africans that have gone outside the shores of South Africa into other countries, right? Data has shown to us, I'll be projecting the figures for us. Data has shown to us that there are over 20 global brands, from the MTNs, from the ShopRite, from the Standard Bank, from Mr. Price, over 20 from Absa Group, over 20 top brands, that are operating in foreign countries.
For example, in the UK, there's this fast food brand known as Nando's. They make very yummy, mouth-watering chicken peri peri, right? Sorry, this is my free adverts for them anyway. They have their branches scattered all over the UK, right? And this is actually a South African brand. So South Africans indirectly asking for organizations or companies like Nando's to close operations in foreign countries and return back to South Africa so they can actually service the 65 million people living in South Africa alone. Whenever I go to any M&S store to get my groceries or my food shopping, I like getting grapes from two countries, either Namibia or South Africa. So we are equally asking that companies, such as, that are in charge of, selling such, should close. And this leads me to my next point, activities of exporters in South Africa, right? Every economy is driven by trade, right? And we know that for some countries, their other products or their produce will be exported to other countries, right? And South African exporters, are equal at a risk here because what your people are asking for indirectly is saying, oh, we no longer want to export our commodities, to other countries, right? We just want to focus on building alone and selling to South African alone in South Africa, right? And if you equally check your balance of trade, as I equally mentioned earlier, this equally impacts the figures for your trade as well as investments in and out of South Africa. So once you are asking foreigners to leave your country, you're equally asking for the activities of exporters to be brought, to a standstill because of the lack of exposure. The next point I'll speak about talks about global value chain or global production networks. All over the world, right? There are different value chain, meaning a product can originate from a particular country but needs the input of every other country before it becomes a final product that is now shipped to the consumers, the endpoint consumers. A good example is the Boeing aircraft, right? The aircraft has other components parts made from other parts of the world, but it's brought together, assembled together in a particular country, and sent to her final consumers. Just the same thing as the iPhone, right? There are different countries, that equally play, their own parts in producing chips or other sensitive components that makes the iPhone. So what South Africans are equally asking for is every part of the value chain that is domiciled in South Africa and not owned by South African businesses are free to take the work. They are free to leave, forgetting that most of these companies hire South African skilled and unskilled workers and equally contribute their part to the economy. So you're saying you don't want that part of the global value chain to be in your country. Maybe this should, happen in other countries in the southern hemisphere that are open to trade and investment. Finally, South Africa is one of the founding members of the BRICS nation, right? So what you are saying to your other members of this economic bloc is that they do not trust you enough, or you do not trust them enough, rather, to hold sway for them. Meaning, in terms of diplomatic relationship, you are willing to break their trust. And we all know trust is an important capital in international trade. So what you're saying to them is that you're not to be trusted because you can wake up at any time and decide to kick foreign nationals out of your country. Is this the Africa we want to project to the rest of the world? Is this the Africa South Africans equally want to project? Now, the second part of this podcast will equally be to ask businesses currently operating in South Africa that are owned by foreigners. It's just time to start looking at building more strategic alliances that can ensure that your business keeps operating in perpetuity, right? That can equally ensure that the going concern concept of every business, is achieved. Because with the level of instability in the South African economy as a result of these instant attacks on foreigners, I'm sure a lot of businesses, need to start rethinking and rejigging their structures, right? Probably retracting agreements, or incorporating new owners that African born to protect the legacy they built over the years. Because I fully understand that it's quite difficult for businesses that have been sustainable, right, that have been profitable over the years, to shut down, to cease trading in a particular country because of issues like this and leave. It's almost very difficult, for them. But this is a good wake-up call for business owners to start counting their losses, start looking for alliances that will strengthen their profitability as well as their going concern. So it's a wake-up call to foreigners, a wake-up call to investors, a wake-up call to policymakers, even in South Africa, right? Businesses need to start leveraging on the power of institutions to formalize every arrangement they have in the country, in as much as they want to keep operating in the country, and they might equally need to limit or minimize their risk exposures and unexplained losses in revenue as a result of these attacks, right? Businesses equally need to start rethinking, their ownership structures as well as collaborating even with the locals, right, to ensure that they can minimize their losses.